Good morning. It is, I think it's Saturday. Saturday at about 5:25 in the morning. Getting an early start today. My name is Larry Cedar, back with you for another session on scanning, spelled Sqanning. It's a made-up word, references the idea of scanning the body. Scanning, by my definition, is the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. The incremental release of muscular tension. That's the key to scanning. That is the essence of scanning. That is the fundamental basis of scanning, and that is the simplicity of scanning. Incremental muscular release. Make a fist, 3, 2, 1, and release. What we're going to be doing in this session is reviewing the fundamental theory behind scanning and then practicing some scanning rather quickly, moving through what I call the muscular zones to demonstrate to you how this technique works, how you can practice it on your own, how you can get better and better at it, and what the benefits of this technique are. Just one more time, scanning, incremental release of muscular tension. So squeeze your hands together, tight, 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 and on my count, release, 3, 2, 1, release. And pay very close attention to what that felt like, because that is scanning. And the change you feel is the benefit you will obtain from scanning. So it's very important in this process to pay attention to what you are feeling. And I want to start by making another distinction about scanning, because scanning could be considered a form of meditation. The difference being is that there is no mental process in scanning. It is entirely physical. All you do in scanning is release muscular tension. So if you meditate to achieve a certain state of calm, the way you achieve that state of calm in scanning is by incrementally releasing muscular tension. So that's it. That's the whole thing. I'll start, as I always do, with a description of how I came about this technique. And that is, I read a book by a man named Thaddeus Golas, Golas. The book was called The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment, in which he describes the fundamental tenets of the universe as two basic processes: contraction, squeeze your hands together tight, see what that feels like, and expansion, 3, 2, 1, release. Everything in the universe, everything you see, feel, think, do, acquire, read about, observe, is either in a state of contraction or expansion or vacillating between the two. Now, if you accept that premise, and you can experiment for yourself and see if it makes sense to you, then you begin to observe the world through that template. What you are seeing, what you are feeling, what you are doing. Are you more contracted? And this is the contraction-expansion continuum, or are you more expanded? And it's a way of looking at yourself that helps you understand how you function, why you behave the way you do, how you can change your state of physical, mental, and emotional being by alternating or shifting yourself on that expansion-contraction continuum. Am I more expanded? Am I more contracted? What do I need to do to become what I describe as, and many people describe as, centered, balanced? Because what you ultimately want with scanning is a balance between the two. To be completely contracted is to be imploded, solid, impermeable, inflexible, rigid, limited. That's to be completely contracted. We don't want that, because we need to function in the world just as a river flows around a rock. If we're solid, we crash into that rock, and you won't make any progress. To be completely expanded is to be completely dissipated, released, permeable, open, dissolved. Now, the extreme of scanning would be to be no longer in existence, because you will have fallen apart, which is what happens when you die. You turn back to dust, to fundamental elements that then at some point may reform into another, what Thaddeus Golas calls structure. We are a structure. We are a bringing together of materials. We are contraction of sorts. There's nothing wrong with contraction. It is the basis, the fundamental building blocks of the universe. Our lives, our money, our career, our name, our relationships, the skyscrapers we build, the cars we drive are all structures which came about via the process of contraction. So that's life. Until such time as you leave this life, dissipate into dust and form somewhere else as something else. But in the meantime, this is the process. So Thaddeus Golas described the universe this way. And if you accept that, and if you accept that we are either contracting or expanding, then you begin to pay attention to how you feel at any given moment in your life. And the tendency is that when you feel bad, when you feel limited, obsessively thinking, physically racked with pain or tight, you are overly contracted. So scanning is a technique to bring you into a state of expansion through the incremental release of muscular tension. That's the theory. So let's get started. Take a breath and sit for a moment in complete stillness and silence. This is a perfect example of this process. I spent the first 5 minutes of this session talking. Talking is contractive. It's forming words, sentences, ideas, conveying them, locking in on a concept. That's contraction. So we balance that by doing the opposite, doing nothing, sitting in stillness and silence, which is expansive, because expansion is a state of nothingness. So 2 things, stillness and silence. In addition to that, breath are expansive by nature. If you take nothing away from these sessions but that at any given moment in your life, sit in stillness and silence, take a breath, and you will expand. And it will help you because it will bring your life into balance. So take a breath. And you're doing 2 things when you practice scanning. You're doing the actual physical release of muscular tension, but you're also reinforcing in your body, mind, and soul the idea, the concept, that expansion itself, doing nothing, sitting in stillness and silence, relaxing, letting go, has as much value as the opposite, contraction. So what begins to happen as you make scanning a part of your life is you begin to understand that there is equal value to sitting back, relaxing, doing nothing, as opposed to the constant working, thinking, doing that we are conditioned to believe, habitually believe, is the only way to succeed or be happy in life. So we're bringing this sort of revolutionary idea back that doing nothing is as valuable as doing something. And when you reach the point where you're 50% one and 50% and the other, you'll be balanced. And you'll begin to understand that there's other ways to go. And we instinctively crave this. When we're contracted, we want to expand. We feel that we're overly contracted. And we do what I call chemical expansions. We'll have a drink of vodka or we'll smoke a joint because that will chemically expand you and we feel better. So this is a natural way to do that without the chemicals, without the side effects. And it also gives you control of the process. In other words, you're not dependent on some external drink or smoke to achieve this. You have the tool within you. When you've trained a lot in scanning, you begin to realize you have the tool. You've learned this tool, and it's very empowering because you don't feel the need to rush off to a bar, to rush off to a therapist, to the chiropractor, to the masseuse. You don't feel the need to use an external process to help you. You have it within you. So let's get started. Again, just to reinforce, scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. Squeeze your hands together, tight, tight, tight. That's contraction. On my count, 3, 2, 1, release. That's expansion. And see what that feels like. I feel it right here. I feel a tightness, and I feel a release. Squeeze, tight, 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 tight. That's contraction. And on my count, release, 3, 2, 1, release. That's expansion. Take a deep breath. And we've begun. So any of these processes which I'm about to describe to you, do in your own time, and you will be scanning. We move through the body through what I call the muscular zones, because we have many, many muscles in our body, and scanning is a strictly muscular process. We're going to begin working our way through our body, releasing muscular tension in small areas so that you can focus on it, because to release the entire body at once is somewhat overwhelming. And you begin to practice releasing and noting how it felt. noting over and over again the difference between release and contraction. How does it feel? You're studying expansion so that you can return to this process more readily. You will get better and better at it. We start with zone 1, the face. On my count, release all the muscular tension in your face. If it helps to look in a mirror, you'll actually see it. 3, 2, 1, and release. What you've done is you've turned off the power to the muscle. The great thing about using the muscles are binary. And if we're working on the expansion-contraction continuum, one or the other, you can't do both at the same time. You can't expand and contract at the same time. The muscles can only, what? Contract or expand. There's nothing in between. They can vacillate between the two, but basically you can move them in either direction. So when you release muscular tension, you have expanded. And because you can't do both at the same time, you've stopped contracting. So that's the beauty. This is why the muscles work. We're not going to work with the mind, which is much more complex and can dance circles around you. We're working on the muscles, which I won't say they're dumb, but they have a basic function, contraction, expansion. It's a very simple process. The face, 3, 2, 1, and release. See what that felt like? Note the difference and do it again. The face, 3, 2, 1, and release. And when you're working with the muscles, you will inch your way forward to a more expanded state. It's important to recognize the word incremental because even the slightest change towards expansion has stopped you contracting and you've begun to move the dial. And it's cumulative. So as you move through your body and release more and more of your musculature, you start to build this momentum towards expansion until at some point you'll see it. It happens. It's what I call the breakthrough moment. It's amazing. Your body will just let go. It will say, oh, this feels good. I understand the benefit, and it will allow this to happen. Initially, you will feel resistance because contraction wants to contract. But if you keep incrementally releasing, eventually there'll be this breakthrough, and you will completely let go and come to a place of stillness and calmness, openness, and peace. Take a deep breath. Zone 2 is the top of the head. 3, 2, 1, and release. And I'm going to describe areas, and you may find yourself talking heads. You may find yourself not quite familiar with what the top of your head feels like. You may not be used to focusing on your body and seeing how you actually feel, because that can be scary or frustrating. So what we're doing with scanning is we're encouraging ourselves to focus on the musculature, to pay attention to how much tension is there in my body. How contracted am I? Sometimes we're not even aware. We can go through an entire day in a contracted state. And it's exhausting because contraction takes energy. Using your muscles takes energy. It takes no energy whatsoever to release. You'll be exhausted and you won't even be aware of it. So we're asking with scanning that you pay attention to your musculature. And in very small incremental ways, release muscular tension at the top of the head. 3, 2, 1, and release. You will feel, and you can describe them in any terms you like, drooping sensations, a kind of slouching sensation. You're letting go. Letting go, letting go. Zone 3 is the back of the head. 3, 2, 1, and release. Sometimes I imagine I have like these rubber bands, these big wide rubber bands stretched across these areas. And what I'm doing is I'm letting go of that rubber band and it goes slack. Any imagery, but you're going to begin to really form a more solid, clear picture of your musculature as you practice this. You'll start to get a very clear sense of how your body works. And as you practice, you will begin to understand that you have within you the ability to alter your physical state. Back of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. Take a moment and see what's changed. Squeeze your hands together, tight, 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 3, 2, 1, release. That's what you're doing. You're releasing muscular tension. Incrementally. Again, it doesn't matter how small, from this to this. Pay attention, how did that feel? Squeeze, release, how did that feel? That's what you're doing. It's like a little drop, a little dropper of release in a giant sea of tension. But you're starting to pay attention to it and see that it works. Back of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. Moving along to zone 4, the neck. 3, 2, 1, and release. Take a breath. The problem with tension is that it has a life of its own, and it's self-perpetuating. So many times when we've come to a place where we're highly contracted, it's very difficult to reverse that, because contraction loves contraction. And you're dealing with a very difficult child, a very resistant, very conditioned child. And it's like taking a puppy for a walk. They'll pull, initially resist you, but if you gently, gently, gently coax that puppy along, eventually it will go, okay, let's go for a walk. So that's what you're doing with your body. What you're up against is years, if not decades, of habitual physical response to life. We are by nature frightened, fearful, defensive. So physical tension is a natural response to the difficulties of life. It's a protective process. It's a shield we build to allow us very, very difficult creatures, very, very sensitive creatures, very delicate creatures when you think about it, just flesh, to face this world. So you need that. But what you're trying to do is educate your body, re-educate your body to understand that it doesn't always have to be in that state. You can let go. And you find moments to do that so that you can bring yourself back into balance and then go face the world again in a contractive manner. So, zone 4, again, the neck. 3, 2, 1, and release. Deep breath. The neck. 3, 2, 1, and release. When I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm trying to go back to sleep and forget the whatever dreams I've had or nightmares I've had, what scanning becomes is a sort of argument with myself. The part of me that wants to panic and think and tense up wants to stay that way. Again, conditioned response to fear, which is what nightmares can induce. The scanning part of me, which I've developed over years, says there's another way to go. It might seem frightening to let down your guard. It might seem like a loss of control. It might feel vulnerable. It might feel literally like the end. To let go of your control, your muscular tension, your ideas, is to become nothing. It might feel terrifying. But knowing now the benefit, I will have this sort of argument with myself and keep saying, no, there's another way to go. And I'll begin scanning and releasing muscular tension. And sometimes it'll take 10 minutes. And sometimes it'll take a half an hour. And sometimes it will take an entire hour. But I will reverse this process. Through discipline and practice, you will be able to stay with it. But it is an argument. You're arguing with yourself. Zone 5 is the shoulders. You're going to let them drop. These are very closely associated with the breathing process. You'll find that as you drop your shoulders and let these muscles release, you'll find yourself more able to breathe. When you are contracted, you are holding. You are keeping it together, you might say. So, letting go means letting go of the muscles which are holding your breathing process. We hold our breath when we're tense. We hold. So as you begin to relax, your body feels safe. It will say, it's safe for me to breathe. And you will find yourself wanting to take more and more deep breaths. Take those breaths. You're slowing down. You're opening up. You're releasing. You're settling back into your body. You are becoming calm, still, open, empty, nothing. Now, if you're anything like me, I have a very active mind. I'm always thinking, one thing or another. And in a way, I think that thinking process is an attempt to gain control over my universe or my perception of the universe. So you say, well, how do you quiet the mind? Well, the great thing about scanning is because it is a strictly muscular process, you don't deal with the mind at all. You just deal with the muscles. And what happens is, if you think of the mind as a muscle of sorts. It holds on to, it creates, it grips ideas and thoughts. As you begin to release muscular tension, the rest of the body follows suit, including your mind, which begins to relax and let go, and the thoughts you've been holding on to simply float away. What I've discovered is that it is nearly impossible when you're putting your full focus and concentration into releasing muscular tension to think about anything. Because thinking is contractive, muscular release is expansion. You can't do both at the same time. So if your full focus and concentration is on expansion, you will stop contracting. You may go back to it, then you'll stop again. You may go back to it, then you'll stop again. But you're going to keep, because you've decided you want to expand, you're going to keep coming back to your process and winning the argument. So let the thoughts be there, but put your full and complete focus into muscular release. It's challenging, but the more you practice, the easier it will get. Take a deep breath. Sit in stillness and silence. So we've gone through half the muscular zones. Take a moment to register how you feel you have changed. What's changed? Is your mind more quiet? Are you more settled in your seat? Do you feel more comfortable within yourself? Do you feel more at peace? Do you feel more satisfied with simply doing nothing? Because that's the goal. In an expanded state, you are simply in a state of being. You have no name, no career, no money, no concerns. You're just existing. It's what I call the original state, the state we were in when we were born. We had no name, no identity, no goals, no ambitions. We just existed. And what does that mean to just exist? That means to experience yourself fully as a living human being. What does that feel like? To sense your heart beating, to hear the sounds in the room, to see the images around you, to feel the air on your skin. It's a very rich, rich feeling. And the reason so often in life we chase our tail trying to find things that will make us feel alive is because we never take the time to really sit and feel alive. So again, what scanning does, it brings you back to that state where you actually experience yourself. And it's very fulfilling. It's very reassuring. It's very satisfying. And it gives you a sense of who and what you are. And if you know who you are, then you can face life with confidence and calm. That's what bringing yourself back into balance through scanning can do. Zone 5, again, drop the shoulders, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, the shoulders, 3, 2, 1, and release. Take a deep breath. Zone 6 is the torso, basically. It's a large zone, but we've kind of warmed up, you might say, so we can do that now. You don't want to bite off more than you can chew with this process, but now we've come to a place where you can do more. That would be the chest, the stomach, and the back. What I call the plate of armor. Again, defensive mechanism. We hold to protect ourselves. We keep it together. But when you're scanning, you're letting go. So get a sense of your chest and stomach and back. 3, 2, 1, and release. Again, along with the shoulders, this is one of the areas most closely associated with breath. So as you release, if you release this tension, you will find yourself wanting to take a breath. If contraction is holding your breath, expanding is releasing and taking a breath. And it's easy to remember because when you breathe, your lungs expand. So it's easy to remember. Again, the torso, 3, 2, 1, and release. And in this process, you'll find me taking more and more breaks because we're moving now into an expanded state. Ultimately, if I was to not be teaching per se, but just doing this myself, the ultimate goal would be to feel comfortable with absolute stillness and silence, and I would just stop talking. Because then you're there. And when you come to an expanded state, stay there as long as you like. Again, you haven't disappeared. You've just brought yourself back into balance. Zone 6, again, the torso. 3, 2, 1, and release. And if you find yourself thinking, I can't do it, well, yes, you can. Squeeze your hands together. 3, 2, 1, release. You can do it. You have the capacity to release muscular tension. Everyone does. It's just a matter of choice and a change of habit. Habitually, we contract. You're changing the way you are in your own body. And that can be challenging. Sqanning. So simple to learn. Very difficult to master. And I'll be working on it the rest of my life. It's why I do it every day, twice a day, whatever, because I want to master it, because I see the benefits. I want to get better and better and better at it, because I see what it's done for my life, for my state of mind, for my emotional well-being. And now it's just a part of my life. And you can make it a part of yours too, if you practice. Zone 7, very important. It's the pelvic region. And I say it's important because it's just packed with emotional what's the word? Import. It's the area of sexuality and waste elimination. It's an area of great vulnerability, because obviously we're very sensitive and concerned about these impulses, these needs. Impulse and need. Impulse and need, these are frightening to us. So we will tend to clench up to protect these areas, the most sensitive areas. And you may find that you are clenched or holding in this area because of that. So when you release pelvic tension, you may find it challenging, interesting, thrilling, frightening. You'll see. Pelvic region, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, it's an unclenching of sorts. 3, 2, 1, the pelvis, and release. 3, 2, 1, and release. You may experience in any of these zones tingling or throbbing. Throbbing because you're opening up the blood vessels. Your body has more freedom now to flow. The blood can flow more freely. So you'll feel a pulsing. That's an excellent sign that you are expanding. You may also feel a tingling, because contraction eliminates feeling. Contraction exists in many cases to control feeling. As you start to expand, you might start to feel. You're letting held feelings go. And that includes the nerves of the body. And so as they are freed up, you may feel tingling as these areas come back to life. So these are all good signs to watch for when you are scanning, particularly in areas like the pelvic region and the feet. Again, the pelvis, 3, 2, 1, and release. 3, 2, 1, and release. Again, what's almost more important in scanning is not the results, but your building of an awareness of what it feels like to scan, to release muscular tension. It's like you're studying a new language. You'll start to understand it better. You'll start to be more comfortable with it and aware of it. And as a result, feel more capable of using this process. It'll become more familiar. The pelvis, 3, 2, 1, and release. And the final zone, down the legs, across the knees, and into the feet. 3, 2, 1, and release. Again, the feet, 3, 2, 1, and release. The 3, 2, 1 is focusing on the area. The snap is the turning off of the switch, turning off of the power to that muscle, getting two benefits: the release of muscular tension, which is healthier and feels better, and also the conservation of energy. The more relaxed you are, the less energy you use. The more expanded you are, the less energy you use. So if you're looking to give yourself an energy boost during the day to become capable of achieving more without getting tired or fatigued, scanning will help you, because you will find that the more of a relaxed state you are in throughout the day, the less energy you're consuming, the less sleep you need, the less foods and drinks and stimulants you need to get you through the day. You have a lot of energy. What's happening is when you become contracted, you are literally putting a cage around yourself that limits your movement, and you have to fight harder to do literally everything. Everything becomes a battle. When you are expanded, everything becomes easy. And again, I'll return to the metaphor of the river flowing around a rock. If you are solid, you will bang up against those rocks throughout the day. Bang, 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 bang. Fight your way around. If you are water and you are expanded and permeable, you will just flow. And you hear this expression a lot. I should note that Thaddeus Golas says in his book that we're all coming to the same realizations. We think we're unique. There's nothing unique about scanning. I just gave it a name because it's the process I use. But we all have heard about flow. We've all heard about the benefits of relaxation. These are all conclusions that we as human beings are all going to come to. This is the conclusion I came to. This is the technique I use. But you can easily and should discover your own, because we're all headed in the same direction, the same realization. So when I say flow, it's not something I invented. It's something everyone recognizes. Take a deep breath. Stillness and silence. Now, if I was to teach this as a class, which I might someday, I don't know, in a formal setting, in a room of sorts, and everyone came in and I said, we're going to sit in stillness and silence for 15 minutes, half an hour, an hour. And then I charged everyone like $25 for that lesson. People would think they'd wasted their money, right? Because it doesn't seem to instinctively make sense to do nothing. What does that achieve? Well, that's the whole point. We're not achieving anything when you're scanning. You're doing nothing. You have become nothing. You're moving into a place of nothingness. Because contrary to our instincts and everything we've been taught, achieving, doing, contracting, building structures is not the only way to go. And if you want your life to be in balance, you will begin to understand and incorporate into your life the idea that the opposite of contraction and building, doing nothing, releasing, letting go, is of equal value, and has as much benefit in your life as the other, as the opposite. You will begin to embrace that and begin scanning as a way to bring yourself back into balance. Scanning, or any method you choose, obviously. This is one way to go. But it requires letting go of habitual concepts and practices. And that's why you practice. Because once you begin to feel the benefit, you'll be encouraged. And you'll begin to understand. And you'll have these arguments with yourself and you will win. I've been doing this for many, many years, and it's still an argument. Because I spent the majority of my life doing the opposite. So I understand that it will be a struggle for as long as I practice this, but it's a struggle I cherish because I see the benefits now. So I recommend you keep a journal of how much time you put into scanning. I try to do an hour or two a day. I don't always, but whenever I do, I notice the benefits. My day is completely different when I don't. So it's of course something you may or may not resonate for you. I share it because I truly, truly, truly believe that it is of great benefit to anyone in any profession, or any part of life, any challenges you're dealing with. And so I share it because I think it makes sense, and it's a simple, simple method. Again, scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical and emotional, mental calm. And all it requires is the release of muscular tension. That's all it is. If someone says to you, describe scanning, go like this. Squeeze your hands together and release. That's it. It's that simple. So practice, practice, practice. Thanks for visiting. If you ever have any questions, feel free to message me. If you would ever like a private lesson, feel free to message me. I come on occasionally. I leave the session up here for a while on my personal Facebook page, and then I remove it and move it over to the Sqanning Facebook page, which is just these sessions, Sqanning. That's the Facebook Sqanning page. Basically, every session is the same, but if you're interested in just having a session at any given moment, just go there and watch the latest session or any of the other sessions I've done. And that's it. I see, what do we got here? Trevor. Hey, Trevor. How you doing? Thanks for coming, man. And what do we got? Pavel? And Joseph, thank you for attending. Feel free to share this concept with others, teach it yourself, and I hope it's beneficial for you. Thanks a lot. Take care and have a good day. Bye-bye.